Nice.
All right, well, welcome. This is our last class for the boot camp. And I know that people have said they were drinking from a fire hose. So welcome to Get Healthy. That's just how it is here. And we all feel like that. So this is going to be awesome because we want to take your questions. And as Kat said, if you're sharing personal patient information or addresses or things like that, either we'll black those out or take those out of the recording. But I think the questions and answers are important because they're probably the same ones that everyone has. So before we begin, does anybody on our team want to clarify anything or feel anything needs to be reiterated? If not, we're just going to start taking the first questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm here to answer questions.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm ready to answer questions. Yep.
All right. So anyone have any working progress issues? Any questions? Go ahead, Dr. Hilda.
I have two they're more technical questions. I used the Meta for the first time and created one post that is scheduled to go tonight and two posts that are in draft. So for that, I am feeling very proud.
Good. That's awesome.
Great. Let's
I
round of applause.
I created an Instagram account and attach it to the Facebook so it has no followers,
Yep.
but it will start. And
Yeah.
it'll be
Great.
like my doctor account, like that I will have because up until now I didn't really have a doctor Instagram account.
Sure.
When I created the drafts, somehow one of them is not connected to Instagram. So I don't know if it was that I didn't choose the where it
Oh,
says customized for
yeah.
Instagram and Facebook and I didn't open it. Is there a way for me to go back and have it create an Instagram post, or do I have to start that post from scratch?
So if you have, I do that sometimes as well. I don't hit both of the accounts. So what I would do is go into the post because it's just in a draft right now,
It's
right?
on a draft.
Yeah, so I would go into the draft, copy that text, and then just start a new post that's just for Instagram, and then copy and paste it. And then you'll just have to, so instead of it being one post that's going to go out two places, you'll just have to do two posts, but just copy and paste the info and then just upload another image.
So go create post, only choose Instagram,
Yep.
copy and paste the information, and only click Instagram. So it doesn't.
Yes. So it doesn't double post on Facebook.
That's
Okay,
interesting that you can't go back and edit a draft and choose both.
Let me hold on. Let me open it.
that's what
Usually,
I was hoping. What you
let me
just.
double check. I found that usually, let me hold on. Let me double check to make sure I'm not lying to you. Let me create a post. I'm gonna do this right now as we're
Could
talking.
you
So
screen share
I'm
while you
just gonna,
so people can see
yeah,
how you
yeah, totally. Hold on. Let me just share. Let's just look. Okay. So if I do say just a Facebook, right? I'm just gonna say test and upload an image, whatever this is. Okay. So if I do it just to Facebook and I say finish later, let's see. Let's go into drafts. So this is the one that I just did. Let's edit post. And then, oh no, look, oh no, that's not the same post. Hold on. I want to just make sure it's the same post. Let's just go back. Cancel, discard changes. Let's go into draft. That's really interesting. My draft, it didn't even show up in these drafts right now. Isn't that
It's
strange?
taking a while. You know what I'm having to do? I'm having to click photo type for it to show on my drafts. It's not
Really?
showing. I'm having to go there where it says photo type to the left,
left.
on the on the drop down at the top bar,
Oh,
right
yeah.
underneath. Let me see. Right underneath publish. Do you see where it says post type? I'm sorry, post type. Do you see where it says post type? I'm having to click there, choose photo for it to show on my drafts.
Interesting. I'm sorry, so you're seeing it
Click on
where?
post type under
Oh,
publish.
sorry, post type. God, my eyes literally couldn't see that.
Photos, and that's how mine are showing.
Wow, that's weird. You know what? What I've noticed about Meta is it can be very glitchy, which is annoying. Okay, so let's go into edit this post and just see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you
Like
can.
I literally spent
Oh,
30
look.
minutes because my posts were not showing.
Wow, a good find. Good find. I find that a lot when I use their ad builder. Look, it actually says you can just click on Instagram. So there you go. So actually, I was wrong. You don't need to copy and paste it. Just go into the edit and then you can
Okay.
unclick or re-click, which is
Okay.
perfect. So actually,
Perfect.
I was wrong. It's much easier. And then, of course, you can customize it then for Facebook and Instagram. So if you've got links in there, I would just make sure you click on the customize and then you can change the different copy for both of the different platforms.
Okay, so I'll do that.
Um,
And then the next question, which is also sort of a technical thing,
yep.
as I'm creating these, so I had never used Canva either before.
Yep.
So I went in there and I created I found the photo library and whatever. I'm creating some
Yep.
photos. But then, and I got the pro version so I can use the
Great.
resize
Oh,
option. But
Canva.
then when it gives me the options on the resize, I really just don't know what to click for what. And I'm
Okay.
wasting a lot of time. For example, specifically, I haven't done any emails yet, but it'd be helpful to know which one I need to click if I'm resizing for an
Sure.
email.
Okay, let's pull one of these up. I'm just going to pull something simple. Okay, so here's one. So let's maybe duplicate this. Want to see design. Actually, let's just do this. So resize. Okay, so if I go into resize, there's a bunch of different things. So for social media, for example, so this is a 1 by 1 square, which you can post 1 by 1 squares for LinkedIn and Facebook. So you don't always need to like, let's admit somebody, you don't always need to resize it for those.
So when you
Unless
say 1 by 1, is that one that says 1080 by 1080?
Yep. So it's like just a square. So those show up in LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So you can like leave them for just to make life easier. You can leave this square for all of the different social media platforms, unless
Okay.
you're wanting to do a story. So the stories are like bigger rectangles. So just for like example's sake, I'm going to do an Instagram story and I'm going to do a like Facebook also does a landscape post. So if you notice in Facebook, sometimes they have the rectangles that are smaller. So that's like the most optimized for Facebook, but they still do squares. So it just depends on how much you really want to get into editing.
Okay,
So
so I can do 1080 by 1080.
you can, and I would just start with that. But let's just like do these two for now so you can see. And then now we're in social media. So let's go to all, and I'm going to say email banner as well. So it will give you, depending on your email platform, it'll usually tell you like somewhere in your settings, like when you're building the template, when you have like a say a header that you're adding, usually when you click on that in an email program, it'll tell you the optimized sizes, but generally about 600 by 200 pixels is good. Any wider, it starts to get really big on the screen. So I would say either of these is a pretty good size. So we'll just say email header. So that'd be like the top of your email, right? So now
Mhm.
we've got a resize for all three things. And you will have to play around with it. It's not 100% perfect. So we'll open all the designs and we'll open three different tabs, which is nice. So this is going to be your email header. So you can see like you've got obviously a lot of room because that's how it's going to go on an email. So and it will give you a couple of different options, which is nice sometimes because of our brand kit, because we have our brand colors in here. So you could then play around with this if you say wanted to just make it larger because you're going to have it in your email. So you could just like play around with what looks good there. Say you're making all this bigger. So, and what's great is if you see these little lines in there, it tells you when everything, I know it's hard to see that little pink line in the middle. It'll tell you when everything is centered. So I usually just play around with that. Like I'd probably make it a little bit bigger versus smaller, right? Just because it's in your email and you want that banner to be a little bit larger. And then excuse me, you can always obviously still play around with the backgrounds and all the other elements as well. But if you just want it to be simple, that's just like one that's just then done. You can download that and then you're ready to go. And then in terms of the other sizes, so this was your Facebook post. See how it's basically a square? It's not that much different. That's why I'm like, I don't really know if you need to go edit more than this because it's slightly different size, but a square will work. But again, you could just kind of play around with this. And then this is the one that usually needs the most work. So this is when you're posting a story because as you know, they're rectangles. One thing I would suggest is at the very top right here, don't make things at the super top and at the very bottom because when you're posting one of those stories, there's the platform will put things up here, right? So I would just like leave the very top and the very bottom alone. But again, you might just want to play around with some spacing, and just, make things a little bit bigger or smaller. But because it's already imported things, it should be a pretty easy edit.
Okay.
Does that help?
Oh, very helpful because
Yeah.
I mean, at that, I like to just choose one image that's 1080 by 1080. After I
Yeah.
saw all those options, I just didn't know which one to choose.
Yeah, and the what good thing is you can just research it. So if you're like, when we put in email, so there was the header, and see how the newsletter is like. Let's just resize this to show you. So that's much bigger, right? So let's copy and resize that one just so you can see it. So usually, like a header image is not going to be that big because you don't want to like have a giant image so people like have to scroll to see the rest of your email. So this would be something that would be like a way bigger image, but I would generally like use this if you're promoting a product potentially, or have something like a course or something that's like a lot of information. Usually, I think bars are really good. Or in an email, you don't even necessarily have to create something in Canva. You could just upload an image of, say, that product, and then there's a few different ways you could like have it as a bar with your text below. And then a lot of times in email programs, you can also have an image to one side with text next to it. So that would just be like a setup that you would do in your campaign builder, just depending on how you want it to look. And a lot of times with those things, especially if you're new, it's just like a trial and error. So like I'll try something and I'll be like, oh no, that doesn't fit. And then just, you can like always do like your backing it up option in those and just like play around to see how the spacing works.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
then I do have one more question. Can
Yeah, of
I?
course.
This one is more of logistics. So, the first three emails that I wrote, they don't have any product attached, like Tracy was talking about yesterday. Just kind of start letting people know what's coming. I mean, not emails. I meant social media posts because I haven't
Yeah,
posted forever. So I
sure.
figured. Um, so would it be too much for that first week to do a post every day for 7 days? Like I was thinking like do my introductory post of the subject and then kind of do a second post that adds more value and then another post kind of telling them, teasing them on that's coming, and then another post that adds value and then put the link for the bundle, like
Yeah, I like the flow. I don't know if you need to do all 7 days, just
mm-hmm,
because that might be overkill for you. And then you're kind of like, I would say 4 is good. I would usually skip Friday afternoons and most of Saturday. Those are lower traffic days.
mm-hmm.
I
So
post every.
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely. I just don't want you to like get into a schedule that feels too much for you. So I think 4 posts is like a great way to ramp up. And you'll see, there are of course, you absolutely can post every day. I've just noticed, like, if you think about it, like when you personally go on social media, it's usually not like on your Friday nights or your Saturday days, right? People are busy.
Mm-hmm.
So, mornings, people are like scrolling when they're, checking breakfast. I guess, during the day, lunchtime is at different times in all of America, which is makes it kind of hard, but you can like post during the day and then evenings, just not super late at night. You just don't want people to miss it. And interestingly enough, especially on Facebook and Instagram these days, your whole percentage of followers don't get your posts. They kind of throttle it. So you only get a small percentage of your followers that see things. So I think consistent posting is good. And then having those hashtags so other people can find you. Like if you've probably noticed if you guys use Instagram, you probably notice you don't see all of your friends' posts in an order anymore, right? You get a lot of suggested posts, a lot of different accounts that you'll see, which obviously they're trying to, get people to get out there and see other things. So you'll show up in other people's feeds as well, if that makes sense. So I think starting with like 4 posts and then doing some hashtags for visibility is like a perfect plan.
Okay, so then I should probably, I mean, you said no Friday afternoon. The goal was to have something posted today. And when I went to, you know how it gives you a suggestion for the
Yeah.
time? It said that my followers are more active at 10 p.m. on Fridays, on
Oh, then
Friday.
try it.
So
It's not
I
a,
was like,
yeah, it's
what?
not a set in stone rule. I think it's better to get something out there. Plus, it's not like it just disappears. Like I will get on my feed things from 2 days ago, right? So like I would say start now, but just and then also see maybe your followers are people that do it late night because they work. Like I'm not saying that it's 100%. I just know for general businesses, right? It's different than like personal. So I'd say post away and then just keep an eye on it. Plus, you're doing more posts so you can kind of see which ones hit, which times, and then just look at all those insights. The insights in social media are pretty easy to use when you click those insight tabs. The graphs are pretty clear. It's not too difficult, I think, to check out that information and gain kind of best practices. But it will probably take you at least, 30 to 60 days to start seeing patterns in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe just do that initial post and then wait
Yeah.
until Monday.
Yeah, I would do that. Or Sunday. Sunday's always good. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. People are
Okay.
sitting around, relaxing, flipping through social media. I always think that's a good time to post as well. So yeah, I would do today just so you've got something out there, then Sunday, and then a few times next week. And then play around with different times. Like you said, maybe a morning, maybe a lunch, maybe an evening, and kind of see what traction you get from those.
Okay,
Okay, so
sounds good.
one of the things that I normally do is I post at the same time every day, just
Um,
because it works for my schedule, right? I'm not a scheduler of posts. It's more of like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what am I going to say today? That's going to flip the world. So that's kind of how I am. I usually will do a content post, and then my second post, maybe the next day would be like I'd ask a question, right? And then like day 3, I might do another content post where it's like information or just a tip about health or whatever that looks like. And then the fourth post, maybe day 4, I might post a selfie with the applied knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So people like content when it's authentic. And I keep going back to that. If you make it so promotional, they don't really get to know you. And the whole thing about social media is you share things on social media so that people understand who you are, who your brand is, what you represent, right? So don't be afraid to like take a picture of yourself in your office, and like, let's say you're talking about blood work all week. Just be like, hey guys, did you know, like, if you just look at your CBC with differential, you can tell if you have an infection. Oh, whoa, wait a second. Here's the levels that I look for, right? And then the next day you might ask a question like, how many people actually run regular blood work and how do you get it? And then that's going to increase your algorithm because people start commenting on your posts. So part of it is not just consistent posting. Part of it is getting people to post back on your timeline. You want people to comment on your posts. So you either ask a question or I'll say my answer's in the first comment. I used to do this post called No Filter Friday. I would take a picture of myself wherever I was and I'd be like, no filters. It's Friday. Here's what I'm doing right now. And I'd be like, show me what you're doing in the comments. I would get hundreds of people just taking selfies like at Walmart and the grocery store and, changing their baby and like, here's my dog, and it was just like something fun, but it boosted my algorithm so that I could get in front of people. And then that was more of like my selfie, right? So don't be afraid to post. I post every day just because that is my kind of outlet. It's how I stay in touch with the world. It's how I get market feedback. It's how I weed out people off my timeline that I don't want there. But it also keeps me engaged and lets people know that I'm around. And Kat's right, you're only going to get about 2% of your audience. So you want your content to be interesting so that you keep building your followers, right? So if you're only posting to 150 people, you're not going to get as much engagement as if you have 8,000 followers, right? So as you post, you are going to build followers, and the people that normally follow you are going to be the ones that are interested in what you're saying. So don't get disappointed if like you throw this campaign out and you're just like, oh man, well, I had 5 people buy product. That's great. Like converting product sales on social media is tough anyway, even if you have a lot of followers. But it's really about you just getting used to setting this up and thinking this through and, how do you want to tailor your posts and figuring out your rhythm. But people like to know about you. They also like to know that you could have your blood work there, right? And you could just take a selfie and be like, hey, reading my blood work, it's not looking so hot, might not see you tomorrow, like something funny that people are like, oh, well, she's doing blood work too. Maybe I should, right? So it's like Candace said, if I talk about lean greens, then I'm making something with lean greens. I'm drinking lean greens. If I talk about Ultimate Shake, I'm showing people how to make pancakes out of them, right? So I did a whole reel on how to make protein pancakes, like just stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
authentic. So don't be afraid. Email's a little bit different than social media, just because people do get sick of emails, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you really have to pay attention, in my personal opinion, to when people open emails, how many emails you send. Like you can't overpost on social media because people are like this. Like they're not unsubscribing unless they don't like what you say. They just scroll past you, right? So don't worry about that as much as being consistent and getting used to posting, getting people, and don't be afraid to tell people to like your business page. You
Mm-hmm.
want to invite your friends to your page. Hey guys, I have a new Instagram page. Would love for you to hop over there and give me a like. Give me a follow, right? Like they want to follow you. They're already following you. So those are just some things. So April said, my quick question. I switched my personal profile to professional. Does this now allow me to post links to my store without going to Facebook jail? I don't go to Facebook jail for posting links to my store, but if you're worried, they used to do that. They used to be like, this is an illegal link or whatever it is. Um, I do, and I don't get into any trouble now. I don't know what that looks like. I think specific products might get flagged, but a lot of times the bots can't follow the link. And a lot of times it's not because it's a product, but because Facebook and the way technology works, like the bots look at that. Did you ever post your store link to a message to somebody? Like, here's my store link, go get this product. And it'll come up like as a risky link. It'll say link is risky, right? It's real crazy. And I was like, why is my link risky? And it's because Facebook can't keep up with how fast that algorithm moves. So they mark it as risky. So sometimes that's what happens. Yes, if it's a public figure page, you should be okay. Remember, throw them a bone once in a while, do a little advertising. They tend to leave you alone if you throw them some money because they want your business. They don't want to shut you down. So, yeah, but I remember that. I don't know if it happens so much anymore. I think enough people are selling on Facebook that I think Facebook realized that if they keep putting people in jail, that people are just going to leave. So I think they've kind of stopped that within the last couple of months, but that is a good point. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent, but be real, do your content posting and your campaign posting, but also do posting about your life, about what you're doing in your clinic, your cute puppy you just got. Like, don't forget to be real with your people and let them see who you really are because they like that. They like to feel like they know you.
Well, and just as an added benefit, kind of side note, it's kind of easier to be real. Like if you're just picking up your phone and filming what you're doing, it's much more achievable than trying to strategize, consider this whole production for one social media video. I have a lot of practitioners with stores who have those real videos on product pages. They're just sitting in their office, talking about why they like that product, and it works really well. So I just from a functional standpoint, the practitioners I work with see a lot of success with that.
Good stuff. You guys
Um,
are great.
on that subject that you said, don't overwhelm, of course, I don't like to be overwhelmed with email either, but on a campaign situation, have you ever just told people ahead of time you're going to be sending them an email for 7 days, kind of because you're just going to be reaching out to them every day for 7 days? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, you can absolutely say that for sure. I think that's a great way of prefacing it. Like, I'm launching to a 7 days of, healthy habits. You're going to receive one email a day. We hope you find these tips super interesting, blah, blah, blah. That way people can know that you're doing it. I think that's a great way. And then you might want to title like, the email like day one, day two. So then if people miss day one or something and they see day two, they can know you're not spamming them, right? You're doing something specific, a campaign. And then in your second emails, third emails, you could say, day two, blah, blah, blah. If as a reminder, you could have like a note like day one was about XYZ, right? You don't have to like recap it, but you can just say that. So that way people realize that this is not something you're going to be doing all the time. I think that's absolutely a great way of handling it.
I
Okay.
think the OG of this is the 12 days of Christmas. I
Right,
know a lot of
exactly.
healthcare practitioners send out gift ideas, supplement ideas during the 12 days of Christmas. And it's the same thing when you run a challenge, really,
Hmm.
or just have anything to promote. It's just a way of releasing something new every day. And oftentimes, I suggest to people if you have something coming up, send a teaser out, get them excited. I like kind of hate that because I want to know now, but it keeps me like looking at their posts, seeing what they have. It draws more interest to them. So you could tease your audience if you're interested in doing that too.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm so excited you guys are like mid campaign building. You have things scheduled. This is exactly what we're hoping to achieve. And it's one of those things I feel like, you go into the back of Business Manager and Facebook, and it seems so overwhelming the first time. But then once you click around and kind of find your things, you're like, oh, I could do this. But there's just so many options. Same with email marketing. You go in there and you're like, but generally they try and make these things user friendly. So there is some trial and error. Like you might build something and then you preview it. I also suggest, especially with emails, click the preview button, send yourself a test email also, because sometimes what it looks like in the builder, it might not exactly look like when you send it to yourself. Like it's not always perfect. So that's something I always like recommend to do. And then you can go back in and change the spacing or change kind of the layout of things. I do that a lot. But then I feel once you do it a couple times, you'll feel so much more confident. And then you can also save your email. Like you could duplicate the same email and use it as a template. So if you like the way it's laid out, you could just hit duplicate, rename it, and then just change different text and change different modules in there. So you can have, maybe one or two layouts that you like. We do that with our newsletters. I don't know if you guys have seen them, but we have right now kind of two different styles. One is more images with just a slight little bit of text underneath with buttons to say read our blog or join our webinar. And it's just very image based. And then we have another layout that's more text based that has, a header image or as a logo, then a header image, and then it has, a main kind of story. And then it has like images with more text. So I think that's something to play around with as well. And you can also see what people respond to more. Maybe people, because sometimes open rates and click rates are very different, right? If you're always pushing people to external things outside of the email, you may get a lot of people clicking, you may not, right? So I think there's a couple ways to play around with that too. And then, like I said, you can just use those and find one or two styles that maybe works for you, and then it'll make it a lot faster to build them in the future. Awesome. Anyone else, any specific questions or things they want to go over and see and look at?
How many of you guys have completed a campaign or are building it, or where are you? Got your graphic done, built an email, copied some content. What's that all look like?
Yes, curious.
I just got my start today.
Oh, you did? Congratulations.
Yes. So I'm trying to get everything set up. I'm a
Sure.
little overwhelmed, but I'm very excited. So thank you.
Of course.
I guess my question is, and I'm sure Candace will send this out or whoever, to be able to access these recordings so we can go back, look through them, work through them, in essence, teach ourselves everything that we don't remember. How do we, I guess you'll send that to us afterwards, Kat, or?
So we have that boot camp. We've got the boot camp handout. Let me send this to you now. I'm just going to drop it in the chat. It's a Google Doc that has a bunch of information about best practices for social media, setting up campaigns, things like that. tips and tricks. So there's a ton of stuff in there. I would like flip through that. If there's anything that you feel like you're missing, just reach out. Like Candace can get, you in touch with our marketing team and we can go through things with you. So I feel like there's a ton of stuff in that boot camp that handout that should help you. But if there's something specific, just let us know and one of us will happily walk you through it. I'm going to go on maternity leave. So today is my last day for a minute, but Courtney, who's been hosting the boot camp with me, will absolutely jump on a call with you and can like screen share and go over anything with you next week.
Yeah, and also all of the classes are uploaded in our Get Healthy EDU. So you should have received an email where you can log in and just rewatch all the videos. That's been sent out a couple of times, so just make sure you look for that. If not, we can give you the direct link right into it.
Oh, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
share it with you, Janelle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
But you
I
can
feel
just
like I'm in the 20th century still.
We'll get you caught up to speed, don't worry.
yeah, all the links are in the Thinkific group, all the PDFs, the documents, everything's been uploaded there. All right, so it looks like Lori sent out a Facebook campaign post on the bundle I made about my
You
fellow.
guys are rocking it. I love it. All these links in the Thinkific group. April, the links to a lot of the marketing things we talked about are in the bottom of the bootcamp handout, like the bit.ly and the link tree and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll send out the Thinkific link again to the recordings. So if you want to like see anything that was done earlier this week, the recordings will be in Thinkific. I could probably add this bootcamp handout to Thinkific, but then I'd have to make it a PDF. So if that's helpful too, we could turn this into a PDF and have it there. But you guys also have all the access now. So you'll be able to use this anytime. Oh, best practices for Linktree. Yeah, Linktrees, let me open Linktree. We can check it out right now. It's super easy to use. Let me open it and then we'll just screen share and look at it. So I love Linktree because it is super easy to use. Let me just screen share. Okay, so you can see our link tree right here. That's what it looks like on our Instagram. Is my screen sharing? It is, right? So this is what it looks like on our Instagram. So what I usually do is the thing that you want people to see the most, put at the top, right? So like I know we have visit our site because obviously our website. So you could have visit your store at the top, but if you're like, hey, I really want to promote this new product, just move it to the top. I think that's also a good way of doing things, right? People can be lazy, as we all know, and they're scrolling. So I would just say the most important things at the top, right? So if you're doing your campaign, you're like, purchase this new product now. Also, this is probably like this blog is probably a bit long. Like, see how our webinars and blogs, it to me, it's a little bit long of text, but because we're promoting something specific, we leave it. But I would say the shorter, the better. And you can use ChatGPT for that as well. Just say, hey, I'm promoting this. What's a concise way of saying this? Right? Like that can be good. So I would say shorter text and then just putting the things that are the most important at the top. But besides from that, like there's not a ton you need to do. Like we have some with images. I don't necessarily think you even need that. I do like to bold and make, or not bold, sorry, capitalize certain things where it's like enter to win now or things like that. But besides from that, I think it's a pretty basic thing. People aren't gonna think too much about it. There are some different programs where you could have just all images, but I don't think that we need that right now. That's more for like news like stories and things like that, where you'll see tiles of all different images, like BuzzFeed, who puts out 60 articles a day, right? They need like images so you can find them. But for our purposes, I think just links like this will serve you perfectly well.
Can I screen share one?
Yeah, yeah. There we go.
So I use Linktree and I'll kind of show you what I did because you can actually now divide this up into your direct links here. But you can also do what's called a view for your store. So if you go to the shop tab on your Linktree, you can actually add products from your store here by just copying and pasting the product URL right there. So you can either do links or shop. And so when you go to the shop, you can actually create categories on your Linktree that are like, my favorite detox, my Christmas bundle, whatever that looks like. And then you go to your Get Healthy store and you literally just copy the URL from the store and you paste it. So if I wanted to add a new product here, I could just put the product URL right here from my Get Healthy store. So let's just go over and find my store. And it's super simple because I was like, oh, this is great, because people are always asking me for products, and I have us right in the way of my drop down. So I got to move us up here. You get out of here. I got a wild puppy here. So maybe I wanted to do something about this Paleo Valley bone broth. So I would take this URL right here and you copy it. And you can go over to Linktree and you just paste it here. And you add it, and it's going to pull the image in and everything. So it's really nice. Boop, there it is. And so you can even add it to the categories like skin health, men's health, youth sports. Like these were all mine. So I'd probably put it in either skin health, or I could just leave it in my shop and I would just add the product. So I don't want to do that because I already built these bundles out. But so lots of cool things that you can do on Linktree. It's becoming a nicer system. So when you have your visual here on the right, you can see how it breaks up into your links like Kat was showing you. And then you can also have the secondary tab now that says shop. So you can tell people like, go to my shop. They also have the new Facebook, Instagram, and whatever that one is, I don't know what that is, links. And you can just add your direct links to your profile. And then these little keys underneath, they are basically like if you want to make it a dynamic post, like Kat was saying, or you want to make it prioritized. So when you do this, you can pick how you want it to do. So if I want it to wobble, what will happen is if you look over here and I choose wobble, every time someone comes here, this thing will wobble. So if you want to call attention to things, so there's all kinds of stuff you can do on Linktree. Don't be afraid to, mess around with it. And then you can use these layouts and all that kind of stuff. You can put an image in if you want, like Kat was saying, you don't have to. But when I put the layout up on this, it just makes it bigger. So I can do a feature where it'll make it big like this one over here, or I can just leave it a bar. So classic is the bar, and then this featured one is this big one. So all kinds of things you can do on Linktree for $9 a month or so. It's a really good application. I use it a lot.
Awesome. That's good. It's very robust. More so
Yeah,
than we're even using it. We're just
the shop
we're
tab,
using the cheap freebie one. We might need to upgrade on our site over here too.
yeah, it's only $9 and it
Right.
was worth it. I was talking about products, and I wasn't always talking about, I didn't always want to create a bundle on my store, like the campaign that we're doing right now, right? If maybe they want different products, you could create a link tree with all the products in a category. And then people can go and click on them individually to your store and add them to their cart. And it's just a different way to flow things. So just know there's, as they say, more than one way to skin a cat, which is a terrible saying, but it still works. Like it's a terrible thing to say, but you know what I'm saying. So can you share more about how you do your Facebook groups? Do you start new groups over and over? Liz, so that depends. If I'm doing a particular subject, like a parasite group, a candida group, groups are super fun, and I'll just give you a quick highlight of what I do. Let me break into Facebook real quick. The biggest thing about groups is it doesn't matter if you do a new one or you do additional groups for every type of focus you're doing. The biggest thing about groups that I'll tell you is keep them organized, because people get lost really quick, because a group is just like a feed. So it's going to be feeding, people are posting in there. And especially if you got a chatty group, and I get chatty groups, people will be like, here's a recipe. Oh, I did this. Oh, this was great. I loved it. And it was just like, all of a sudden you're lost, right? And people haven't been there in a week. and all of a sudden they're like, I can't find anything. I don't know where anything is. So keeping them organized is really important. So I did a group called Health 365, and I charged people $148 to get into the group. And it was a year-long program where I had 12 months worth of content. And by the end of the year, which is going to end in December, they learned every single system, organ, body, and function so that they could take care of themselves. So my goal was, I'm going to put you in this group, and by the time you're done with it, you don't need me. So every month I created content, and I did 1 to 4 videos depending on the topic. So I have 107 members. They all paid. And I had 4 tiers. So I had just group access. I had group access plus a kit. I had group access plus 3 consults. And then I had the full Monty package, which was the access, the kit, the 3 consults, everything. And I charged different prices for it. But my point is, as you can see, it was a busy little feed. So I had all these group members, people were talking, good days. I have a question about bladder wrack. So when you get here, it's a hot mess. So you want to create what are called guides. And so guides actually allow you to have learning units that you can put in order, and you can create these guides. So all of my content is divided up into guides by month. So here's January, there's February, March, April. So every guide is organized and has all the content in it. So we're all the way up to November is going to be sleep and stress. So we have to upload the content now, which I didn't get to that yet. April probably realizes like I have 75 things going on and I didn't get to a lot of it yet. So my point is you can build these things out, but keep them organized. Make sure that you have a moderator over your group. Sometimes you get people in there that are just, they're trouble. You can also just give people free access to help you moderate the group. I do that all the time. So I'll be like, hey, you want to come into my group for free? And if you just moderate it and answer questions or let me know if people need questions answered, like you can come in and have free access, then you're not paying extra help. So that was one group. I had parasite groups. Like I do lots of groups. I do now have a community. So what happened to me on Facebook was I got kicked off all the time. And they were kicked when you get put in Facebook jail, you can't run your groups. So that happened to me. So I went and got a community group software called Circle, and I put everybody into Circle. And now I charge a yearly fee for them to come in. And, we run challenges. We have about half practitioners, half lay people. So if people have a question about health, the practitioners will answer. If practitioners have a hard case, we all talk about it. We're starting some practitioner mentoring now for protocols and, business stuff. And then we're going to do a little DIY project, like do it yourself health project for the lay people. And so I can talk about anything in that group and nobody kicks me out, right? I can talk about vaccines. I can talk about, health freedom. So when I would do that in my Facebook groups, I would get put in jail because I was still on their platform. So you want to make sure that the content that you are providing fits community standards. And if not, what I would suggest would be, instead of building it on social media, is go pay for a platform like Circle, which is about $29 a month at bare minimum. And you can organize your groups in there and really have control over your paywalls and who's allowed in different sections of your group. Like you can really break it up, right? So in the practitioner's side, we don't let everybody into the practitioner peptide mentoring. There's only practitioners in there, and April's in the class, she knows. So so there's just different ways you can break it up. And lots of people use Circle. I mean, if you have Practice Better, they use Circle. They teach you how to use Practice Better on there. Biocanic uses it. Like any kind of software system will use a community group just to teach you. So those are some things you can do. Paid version, free version. Okay. So any other questions?
Can you offer any guidance about, limitations about what you would discuss from like a health and wellness perspective on a social media platform, like any legal implications for, being accused of giving medical advice online?
Yeah. So, if you stick with the words May support traditionally does, studies have shown. Those are always stuff that I start out with. Violating community standards are more on keywords searched by the bots in the algorithm. So words like COVID vaccine, childhood vaccine, they're going to get you thrown in jail. Anything regarding gender is going to get you thrown in jail if it's negative. And then you sometimes get community standard violation if you talk about religion in a negative way. Usually any, so if you say like Christianity stinks, now it doesn't, I'm a Christian, but I mean, they just look at that stuff as like hate speech. So, you can't really do that. So, and not that I did that. My whole thing was more, I think I was just really flagged during COVID because I was very much a health freedom fighter and, I just kept getting kicked off of Facebook. So Olive Oil got thrown in jail for a post. Oh, yeah, did you really? So it's just weird. And some weeks, the bots are on and sometimes they're not. But what happened to me in Circle was, and this was just because everybody messages me on Facebook. Like I truly will get 100 messages a week, like just people asking for help about their blood work, how do they schedule an appointment? Like it became overwhelming. And so what I decided was I was going to go to Circle, and those people that had invested money in my Circle get access to me and nobody else does. And so when people message me on Facebook, I just send them to my assistant's email and I say, if you want to schedule an appointment, here it is. Now, I'm not a jerk. I mean, if it's a quick question, but we have to remember that your time is valuable. And as you truly start to get out there on social media and you start to scale, you have to put boundaries up in your time. It's one of the first things that I would teach practitioners is have your boundaries up. That way you're not giving everything away for free and your time is valuable. You've paid for your education. And trust me, they don't treat, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to allopathic doctors, but nobody calls up their allopathic doctor's offices and like, hey, let me talk to Dr. Smith. Like that doesn't happen. And they don't send Dr. Smith an email or send him a message on Facebook. Like it just, but there's a difference in the alternative world. So, make sure that you're putting a boundary up that way when they're watching your posts and they're reading them, they're engaged with you that way. Comment on your posts, but answering direct messages, I would be very careful. This was already presented and Candace showed me a bit. Can you show me one more time how you set up?
I'm just ready, but I'm way at the basics. So yeah, then I'll follow this email.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll follow this recording.
So your homepage is, let me get to the back of my store.
Thank
your
you.
homepage editor is right here in your drop down in your dashboard. So you need to go to the URL to log in as a practitioner, or you can log in from the front of your store. And you want to hit homepage editor. And within the homepage editor, you have the option of signing back in. Hang on. This is a bug. It's like, get out of your store, Tracy. You're not allowed in here. So yours would say activate up here, Lisa, because you probably haven't activated your homepage yet. At that point, you can still edit these without activating, but you want to activate that in order to see it. So I have my top call out bar shut off, and you can see that in the front of my store that there isn't 2 or 3 blocks above my slider deck. Okay. So my top call outs are shut off. I just don't remember why I did that. This slider is the middle one. That's the long banners that goes across the middle. And you just click edit here. And what will happen is this will open up. You're going to either upload your graphic from your computer, by hitting this browse to find, or as Courtney showed you yesterday, you can just drag it right in here and it'll upload. At that point, you want to figure out like what's your call to action on this graphic. Do you want them to link into your store to get your book? Do you want them to link away to read your blog? And so wherever you want them to go, you have to have that URL and paste it in here. You don't have to link it anywhere if you don't want to. If you just want them to be informational banners that slide, that's okay as well. And then is this for desktop or mobile? As you can see, I didn't do any of this, but this should be just for desktop. So I should probably just choose that one, which means on mobile, it won't show up, right? So all of that, and then you're going to X out. I know that seems counterintuitive, but then hit save. Remember, if you want to put any text here on your title, you have your buttons where it will show this title, or you can turn that off. Your show dots just means that it's going to have these dots here on your graphic so people know there's more to come. And then your autoplay. Do you want this slider just to slide, just like it is now? Or do you want to have people have to manually move it? I always keep mine on auto. And so that's about as difficult as it is. You'd hit save. It's going to auto-populate that to the front of your store. It might take a few minutes for it to actually get there. And then you can do your bottom callouts. Now, your product carousel is a little bit of a broken experience, but usually what I tell people do is here, when you click edit, this carousel, what they're talking about is on the front of your store, they're talking about this, okay? Now, the broken experience is, first of all, you can put your title in there, which I suggest you do. So mine says a few of my favorite products. And then you're going to choose from the drop down, whether it's featured, recommended, or SKU. I always just choose featured, move on with my life. You're going to click save. And then once you do that, you need to go to your products tab. I'm kind of glad we're doing this because this is the most disconnected experience. Once you're at your products tab, you're going to go to my store, which is your store, because this is what is on your store. The product search is what's on the Get Healthy catalog. This is what's on your store. At this point, this little tool gear right here is where you are going to hit this group tag, oops, and choose featured, because that's what I chose over there, okay? Now, you can put any key search words. This is a function that is just not used enough on our technology. So it's whatever word you want to say, comma, no spaces in between. So when somebody goes to the front of my store and starts to write in red light, not only is it going to find products that have the word red light in it, but it's going to find any product that I put that keyword in for. So let's say you're on a podcast and you're talking about detox and metabolic detox and detox, and you have like 5 detox products. You could go get those and you could write the words metabolic detox, metabolic, that all that stuff. So when someone just types in metabolic detox, like all of your products that you talk about start to populate up. It's a very underutilized feature, but that is how you set up your carousel. So you got to pick your tag, right? Your featured tag. You can put in a few keywords if you like. You can either put a little thing like, I love this product more than, the sun, like whatever you want. And that's going to show up as your practitioner review next to the product. And then it will populate onto your product carousel. So that's kind of how you do it. It's a little bit of a broken experience there. Now, the last thing on the homepage editor is the bundle bar. Again, this is not where you can build the bundle bar, but it's where you can control whether or not it's on the front of your store. If you don't want this bundle bar down here, you can turn it off. Now, it will be on all your pages. So say someone goes into your supplements category, it's going to populate to the top. It will stay there for now, but you can turn it off if you want to on the front of your store. Some people like it, some people don't. And that's really it. Most important part is just getting those graphics in here. And then if you forget how to do this, this is basically where you choose the way you're going to add products to your carousel. And then you have to go to your products page to my store to actually choose those products and add them to the way that you chose. So if you chose featured, you add them featured. If you chose recommended, you add them recommended. Make sense?
Thank you. That was good. I'm glad I got that all succinct on video. So thanks.
Yeah, you can rewatch that 10 times. Usually
Yep.
that's no space between the words. So it'd be like red light, comma, awesome, right? No spaces, just commas.
If it has a space, like could you do red space light and have it be one word?
I don't normally. I don't trust that would happen. I usually just keep it as red light, but you could, but it needs a comma and no space in between the next word, or it won't keyword search it. All right. supermarketers.
Awesome, everyone. We'll get this video recording up in Thinkific. I think everyone's probably okay with that because we did have some screen sharing and some helpful things there. And then if you have questions, reach out to your account managers and then they can get you guys in touch with us in marketing. If there's something specific you want to go over in marketing, Courtney will be able to help you. I'll be out for just a minute having a baby, and then I'll be back in a flash.
So thanks, Kat. We're gonna miss you for a couple months.
Yeah, I'll be back. So, oh yes, Dr. Hilda, question?
Just really quick, on this document that has the summary of the bootcamp,
Yeah.
am I able to download this document to put it on my drive to
Yes,
have it in my bootcamp folder?
you should. I gave everybody, let me just open it up. I gave everyone edit access. So
Okay.
let's see, let me just double check. Anyone with a link and access. Yeah, so you should be able to, let me just check sharing. Anyone with a link and view. Let me just make anyone with a link an editor. So now you should be able to download it, copy it over to your drive. Usually if you go into file, then make a copy, you can
Oh, here,
then you can click go to your drive and you can add it there.
I found it.
Yep. And then we'll turn it into a PDF and add it to Thinkific as well, just so in case you lose it somewhere in Drive, it'll be in the Thinkific account as well.
I found it. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good luck, guys. We'll be watching you.
Yes. Yeah. And please do reach out if you need anything. We're here to support.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Talk to y'all soon.
Thank you.